you, parents, and welcome once again to another session from the Sri Niketan's Mothers Forum. In the last session, Dr. Aditi spoke about immunity, understanding immunity, and however, we were not able to take your questions during the last session due to paucity of time. So we planned this session wherein Dr. Aditi is going to answer our queries. So, Doctor, I have a list of questions for you.
Good evening to everybody who is present. Yes, ma'am.
So, Doctor, we start with the question we took last time. Last time, our parent had asked, how do we convince kids not to eat junk food?
I hope this parent is in the meeting right now, but if not, please convey this answer because this was a very, very important question. So,
if the parent
the first thing,
we will record and it will be available for the parents to see.
Yes, please. So, because this is a question that most parents today have. So, I would like to break this into 3 steps for the parents, and this staging of what the response of the parent be is much dependent on where your child stands with particularly with junk food. So the first thing is, if your child is very small, then the best way of keeping him away from junk food is prohibition. Prohibition as in, if the child is not aware that there is something called as a certain kind of food, he will not ask for it. So pizzas or noodles or McD burger or a KFC fry is something the child doesn't know until you introduce him to. So please take all the time in the world before you introduce these things. Remember, we came to know about pizza when we were probably 20 or 25, and still it is one of our favorite food. So if the child learns about junk food a little late in life, he is not going to lose out on it. First thing. Secondly, if your child is already aware of the various kinds of junk food available to him, then children don't listen to words. They copy or emulate actions of parents. So if you want the child to avoid eating junk food, then the best way that I as a parent have found is to not bring junk food at home and to curtail my own intake of junk food, because nobody is saintly, everybody has a weak tooth when it comes to taste. So preventing junk food from coming home is a very good way of ensuring that your child is not eating, in which you participate with the child and you say, I'll also not eat and you also don't eat. Now, sometimes every parent is not able to do that. If you still want to eat but don't want to give the child, then remember, you are not cheating the child. You are just ensuring that for his health's sake, you will go out, eat, come back home and not discuss about it. Not cheating the child. This is keeping the child safe from something that he doesn't need to know. That is deprivation. So you either deprive both yourself and the child, and if you can't have that control on yourself, then keep the child free. You're doing the child a favor, trust me. And the last is, if your child is absolutely adamant and he's hooked on to junk food, if he's already regularly only eating junk food and he will not listen to you, especially if there are children who will say, if I don't get this, I will not eat anything. And they mean it and they don't eat. So if your child is that difficult to handle, then you have to point for regulate. Regulate as in, you will say that if it was coming once every week, then increase that pattern and say it will come once in 15 days only. Then increase that pattern to once in 20 days only, or only on certain birthdays, or only on some specific family gathering. So attach some kind of significant detail to it, so that the time in between is lengthened, and slowly, as your child is learning to regulate himself through intake, try and make other options available to him from your own kitchen. And every time you eat that, please make a mention of how this is so much more healthy than the other thing. It's so good that we are eating this instead of that. These are subtle clues that you can drop, and then often children do, rise up to the situation and understand. But they have to see that the parent is really wanting to achieve this particular thing. So genuineness of the parent is very important.
Okay. Second question is it true that eating garlic and turmeric daily improves immunity?
Yes, most certainly, garlic and turmeric both are known to be a healthier option, and it is quite fortunate to note that our food is, full of garlic and turmeric in most forms. I mean, even if we don't do it knowingly, unknowingly, we are having turmeric and garlic regularly. However, I might just like to add, how we process that particular food does make a difference. And therefore, if one feels that I have brought garlic pickle, will it help me? Will it take care of my additional cholesterol, or will it help my heart? Because garlic is known to improve your circulation, work on the liver, and control cholesterol, the bad cholesterol in your body. So it ensures that your arteries and vessels remain clean, especially as you're aging. But this will not be done by garlic pickle or Chinese food or Chinese sauces, which are very rich in garlic. That is because the process in which the garlic has undergone all the important food value consisting, the nutrition that is there present in the garlic is all lost during the process. Therefore, it is to have fresh garlic or garlic which is very lightly sauteed, where, usually the cook will tell you, the chef says that the pungent smell of the garlic should be lost. That is cooked garlic. Only that much is sufficient. Or a fresh garlic clove in the morning with hot water. That is very healthy.
Okay.
So we should remember this.
Okay, doctor. Thank you, doctor. We have some more questions on food. What is the effect of food we eat on our mind?
Oh, very nice question actually, because mind and food are very, very interrelated. For instance, if we are very exhausted sometimes, then we don't feel like eating food. If we have our favorite food, which is presented to us, but it is presented in an environment which is extremely dirty, for example, it's a very nice kitchen, but a very, very ugly and dirty restaurant, especially if you're going from Goa to Pune by bus. You don't feel like eating the same foods which are on your favorite list. That's because your mind is not in a place where it can enjoy the food. The taste comes secondary. The look of the food becomes secondary to the look of the environment. So yes, mind and food are very much in tune with one another. Another aspect regarding food and mind is also this. So we have this principle in Ayurveda which says Lok Purusha Samya Siddhant. That means whatever is in the universe, so it exists in your human body. So your body is like the epitome of that universe. So the food that appears of a certain kind will help a particular need of your body. A very good example of this is akroad, that means walnut, which looks like the brain, when eaten early morning, will help prove the power of your brain. Because it looks like the brain, it works on the brain. Similarly, you must have heard of Bhringaraj oil, which is very good for turning your hair black, or if there's hair, Bhringaraj oil is very healthy. That's because Bhringaraj is a marshy plant. So when it grows in a dirty muck area. That means it gets draw nutrition out of places where there is no nutrition. The same way, Bhringaraj will help grow hair because it will provide nutrition to the hair roots where it is not available. So these things are there. So yes, food and mind are very much related. So eating peaceful meals or a vegetarian diet or a well-cooked diet, warm food is good to pacify the mind. If you are not getting good sleep, having milk the later half of the evening is more useful, etc. So yes, it's very true.
The next question is, do food supplements like iron, calcium, vitamin tablets have side effects in our children if taken for a long time?
Like I was saying earlier also, this is a trick question because there is a saying in Ayurveda that says a poison in the right amount can be medicine, and medicine in the wrong amount can be poison. And I actually was for a line in toxicology also, and that line particularly read that all chemicals are toxic chemicals, whether they are plant-based, animal-based, synthetic, natural, all. So when dose is everything. So when somebody says, can food supplements be harmful? They, in rare cases, very, very rare cases, they can be. And the question that can there be too much of intake of supplement? Yes, it happens because people sometimes can get a little bit too conscious, and often supplements are over-the-counter medication. You don't go to a doctor, but you go to the pharmacist and say that I want something which has a multivit or a B complex or something like that. So these are not taken by medical advice. So supplements can be a little tricky when it comes to suiting the person, but they are not life threatening. There haven't been cases where there are very, very severe physical problems or ailments that are created. However, as an Ayurveda consultant, I would like to add a footnote that supplements are best absorbed when they are in their natural form. Therefore, supplementation through foods is always better than supplementation with capsules or syrups or tablets, because remember, the capsulation is in itself a synthetic medium, or the syrup which you are having, especially when children say I would like an orange flavor and this time I want a chocolate flavor, it should be a sign to the parent that it is not the best way of providing supplementation. So please have a balanced, healthy diet, and supplements can really be, tertiary healthcare, only when necessary kinds.
Okay, next question is, what are some good foods or good advice to prevent asthma and wheezing? What are some good
asthma and wheezing?
Yeah.
Asthma and wheezing. Okay. If it is happening in children, oftentimes it may not be a long-lasting complaint, because some children grow out of it, especially in their youth. But if it is in an adult, then he has to continue taking the similar kind of food care that I will be telling you about. So asthma and wheezing is a lot of congestion in the chest mostly. Wheezing is because the air sacs are full and you can't, acquire enough air in your lungs. That's when you get that breathing difficulty. So for that, oftentimes foods which are cold, anybody will say, can be harmful. But I would like to add that also foods which may not taste cold to the tongue or the throat, but have an effect of cooling on the body, those can aggravate your condition, like banana, for instance. Heavily citric fruits like oranges and grapes can cause a problem. Lemon, when had in lemonade form, can cause a throat irritation and trigger a reaction. So if you're having lemon, please have it on your food, on a salad. That will make sure that you don't get a trigger reaction. Children who like to have banana but are strictly advised against, first of all, eat your fruits between 11 o'clock and 3 o'clock, because that time your food is digested better because of the sun, and you don't get the increase of what we call kapha or the mucus irritations other. Try having your banana with a little bit of honey and elaichi. Elaichi is cardamom. So child is insistent on having banana, and the doctor has advised him not to. Then give him half a banana, and then you can give him a pinch of cardamom with honey, and that should ensure that he doesn't get asthmatic attack. Having foods which are warm, having foods which have a little bit of excess salt, especially rock salt, not processed or iodized salt, is quite helpful in taking care of wheezing. Apart from food, applying oil in the nose or putting a drop of oil in the nose every time the child leaves the house is very useful, because like I had said in the last lecture, it does not allow the dust or the cold air to cause irritation with the mucous membrane of the nose. So that ensures that he doesn't get an infection very easily. Application of til oil on the chest and the back and the sides, the flanks of the child is often useful to melt the cough, the cold congestion that is already there in the chest. So applying oil on the chest and then giving a hot fomentation with either with hot water or with, the best is to make a small poultice of hot rice, cooked rice. When it is very hot, you take a handkerchief, add a teaspoon of haldi, add a bolus of hot rice, make a poultice and give fomentation. Shake दिवपाचो छाती एक आणि फाटीक on that oil, and then ask the child to wear a full sleeved shirt. Make sure he doesn't go in an AC or in the breeze immediately after taking the fomentation. Often this helps to relieve a lot of congestion in the chest. And drink warm water throughout the day. Do not have heavy meals after 7:30, 8 o'clock in the night. This, I can assure you, a lot of children will have a lot of change in situation just by changing their meal times, ensuring that they finish their dinner by 8 and having their milk in the evening and not at night can ensure that the child does not get asthmatic attacks. Having haldi milk, which is hot, can also help. But yeah, these things. Avoid curd. It causes a lot of infection and it doesn't go away easily. So please ensure that you avoid curd in your child. Make sure you churn it in the mixie, add some honey or sugar with honey, and then give the child. Honey usually takes care of the congestion.
Thanks, doctor. Very important advice for us. Okay, now there's another parent. My daughter's teeth are weak and some front teeth have become brown and she's having toothache. Kindly suggest some medicine.
Okay, I'm presuming that the age of the child must be 3 to 4 years or 3 to 5 years. Okay, so based on that, they have said, I think they've said test medicine. It's a little difficult to suggest medicines in Ayurveda without seeing the patient, because Ayurvedic medicines are for the patient and not for the disease. But there are some things that they can take care of. For instance, you get Danta Manjan, which are powders of bitter medicines. So they have things like babool or neem, tulsi. They have rock salt, which don't eat very often in our food. So they have supplements and they have bitter tasting medicine powders. So we could Dantamanjan, I know with use has been quite effective. So what you have to do is you have to ensure that either you finish brushing your teeth with the regular toothpaste that your child uses, or before he brushes his teeth, and take a little bit of powder, kindly use the thumb and the middle finger. This should not be. So you can use either of these 3 fingers and the thumb. I have found by use that the middle finger and the thumb is quite helpful. So you take a pinch in your in these 2 fingers and then apply it on the teeth in such a way that it also massages the gums. In that motion. I'm really sorry for the hideous exposure, but it was important. What's important is make sure that the gums are also massaged. A lot of times toothache happens when the teeth become loose from the gums. And when we use bristles, which are especially hard in the children's brush, the gums start their muscle after all. They are soft. So they start spreading out. So you need something that binds, because the gum is the only thing that's going to hold the tooth together. So you have to ensure that the food particles which are gone into the gums come from the gum without making the gum loose. Therefore, this massage helps in ensuring that the gums are strengthened and they are also cleansed in the process. Please excuse me. So this ensures that there won't be a worm attack very often in the tooth. If she's already having pain, then use of clove oil is quite useful. Children can be a little sensitive to the taste of oil. So if you are unable to give them clove oil, because always take them into confidence before putting anything in their nose, mouth or ears. Because they sometimes they get shocked. They are so scared that in future they will never be cooperative with any medical treatment. So always take them into confidence, and if you can't give them clove oil, you can even give very still oil. The amount should not be more than 2.5 or ml, 2.5 ml. So you can just apply the oil in the root of the gum that is hurting. So if it is the front teeth that are hurting, then you can use the same 2 fingers and apply the oil at night before going to bed. That is found to be quite useful in toothache. Clove oil is better. If not, still oil can also be used. However, if the complaint is very pronounced, then please see a dentist.
Thanks, doctor. Okay, what can we do to prevent ourselves from catching a viral flu?
Viral flu,
Yeah.
yes. This is a very good season to ask this question, because viral flus have already begun actually. When there is a mixture of rain and sun, that's when viruses grow a lot. Viral flu is very easy actually to deal with. You may not always prevent it completely. You may catch a flu and then you may get the fever. But some things that are telltale signs are you start with a body ache or a headache, and you have a general distaste for food. So the best way of preventing viral flu is just be aware of your body. As soon as you start feeling, I'm not feeling a very good appetite today, it's a good sign to shift to eating pears, rice gruel, or having a lighter soft rice and dal maybe, avoiding fish, avoiding of meat. If at all you have to have fish, then have fish from the curry and not fried. So avoiding fried items, avoiding heavy foods, avoiding eating outside, and start drinking hot, because generally heat is something that the body craves as soon as it starts getting a viral flu. Secondly, physical signs are body ache and headaches. So please take as much rest as possible. Sleep in time. You have to go to office at least until you get fever these days. So ensure that you sleep by 10 o'clock. Don't go beyond. Take a good rest. Even if you cannot actually sleep, go and lie down. Take a warm shower. Immediately after the shower, please do not expose yourself to winds or breeze. So wear full clothes, and ensure that you do not have something from the fridge or something which is cold. Avoid having curds. Avoid having processed food as far as possible, and definitely avoid bakery products, because they often cause indigestion and cause fevers.
Okay. Okay, we have the next question. How many times can we take steam?
This is a very condition-based question. So, if I don't know if the parent that asked this question is in this discussion, but if it is because the person is already having some cold-related symptom, then maybe steam for relieving cold symptoms maybe 2 times a day can help, once in the morning and once in the evening. So one when it's early morning, when it's difficult to breathe, once when it is sunset, because that's the time usually the symptoms aggravate. If it is just as a precaution against coronavirus, then you can take steam once in the evening after you come back from work, and you can the next step to taking the steam, you can take hot water gargles so that your system is cleansed inside and out. If it is for a small child, then please ensure that you are supervising the child while taking the steam, and you should physically sit with the child and take the steam, so that if the child comfort, then you are able to particular process immediately. Please do not leave your child unattended with the steam.
Okay, doctor. There is one more question we have received on the chat just now. It is how to stop stammering of a 3-year-old child.
If it is a consistent thing that the child has, the parent has noticed right from the beginning of the period child has begun to speak, then he may require some professional help in the matter. It's the most important advice I'll give. However, the stammering is a process of generally noticed that people stammer when they are collecting their thoughts. Like even when I'm talking to you now, there are a lot of times that I do. So a stammer usually is related to your build-up of thought in your mind. Secondly, stammer is for actual pronunciation of certain consonants which are difficult to pronounce, like s, r, t, etc. So in which case, sitting and having reading sessions with the child, start with very, very simple reading material. And if your child is less than 5, that means he does not read. If the child is 3 or 4 years, in that period, I have noticed that having the child recite shlokas has been found extremely helpful, because the Sanskrit Varnamala, that means the A, A, I, Barakhadi, ji आम्ही म्हणतात, K to Jna, it has sounds of all kinds, and they are very well incorporated in shlokas. So if there are a particular recitation that the parent or maybe the grandparent in the house does, then they should make a routine of this and have the child say to that particular parent or grandparent, do not lose your patience, because the child is not doing it purposely. He will slowly latch on to the recitation and start doing it. So therefore, reciting things continually helps a lot in the movement of the tongue vis-a-vis the voice contraption in your mouth. So yes, but like I said, if it is it has been right from the beginning, you might want to take professional help in the matter, because speech therapy is sometimes extremely helpful, and you won't even realize that the child has completely come out of it.
Okay. The next question is, how do we prepare alkaline water at home?
So, can you hear me?
Yes.
So this is a little difficult for me to answer, because alkalinity is where the pH of the, we know that pH of this 7, and alkaline is anything between 7 to 14. So alkaline water is the pH of the water. That is how you make the. With a consultant, I would not be able to advise on how to make alkaline water, because Ayurveda does not exactly think it. It deals with preparation. So I will presume that the complaint is of maybe some renal issue person might be having, because usually that is the time alkaline water is advised. If that is the case, then preparation of jeera, that is cumin, and coriander seeds, dhane. So you boil the water. When the water is absolutely boiling, teaspoon or a big spoonful of coriander seeds, a little bit of is very prominently seen in the society. So add the seeds, switch off the gas, cover with a lid, allow the water to cool. The water is lukewarm. The volatile oils of the make the water potent enough to drink and cleanse the urinary system. If your alkaline water requirement is because of better skin, etc., drink warm water, coriander water, cumin water. It's quite useful to cleanse the skin.
Thank you, doctor. I think we're having a bit of a network problem because your video gets hanged for some time, your voice breaks for some time, but I hope nobody else is having such issues. Okay, the last question I have for you today is, what are your comments on water therapy? Or what is water therapy?
Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay. I understand with water therapy, somebody is meaning to ask about the advice that you are supposed to have 2.5 or 3 glasses of warm water early morning on empty stomach. Probably that is what they mean by water therapy, because that is what I am aware of. It is believed, I think it's a Japanese therapy, where it is believed that drink that amount of water cleanses your system and improves your digestion, and it's found to be useful in migraine. However, this is what I am aware of. However, I would like to add, and this is something I had also mentioned in my talk, there are a lot of variations about how much water to drink, how to drink. According to different pathies. Yoga will say something, naturopathy will tell you something, allopathy has its views, etc. So I will stick to Ayurveda because I have found that it makes best sense to me, and I am biased maybe, but so what Ayurveda says is you are supposed to drink a lot of water unless you are thirsty, first of all. If you're not thirsty, don't drink water. Secondly, Ayurveda is not a very heavy proponent of having water on empty stomach unless the patient has a problem cleansing his bowels. So unless I drink water, I don't feel like going to the toilet. Sometimes doctors do advise having water for a stipulated amount of time while the patient is on treatment, and then slowly weans him off it. Sometimes the patient feels that after I drink water, I have a feeling of cleansing because my urine output improves. Otherwise, in the morning, I have a pain during micturition, pain in passing urine, or burning sensation. Those people are sometimes advised to have water on empty stomach. Otherwise, for a regularly healthy person, Ayurveda says that you are supposed to drink water as per the thirst requirement of your body. If at all, drink your water a sip more than your actual requirement. Drink water sip by sip. Drink water during your meals, not before, not after. Because if you drink before your meals, then your appetite is suppressed. And if you drink food after your meals, then the time required to digest your food lengthens and you tend to put on more weight. So if you are wanting to lose weight, please ensure that you don't drink large amounts of water after your meals. So this is what Ayurveda says. And most importantly, it is found to be quite helpful. Don't forget to drink water. This is very important because people feel that I am thirsty now, but I will have water after some time. Please don't do that. Drink warm water. Don't drink cold water because that causes indigestion. And as per the season, your sweating changes, your urine output changes, and accordingly your water requirement changes. So pay heed to what your body tells you.
Okay, doctor, we have received another question. Okay, what proportion of walnuts should be given to children?
Good. I hope you start from tomorrow. The parent, sir, I think it's Prasad Pawar. Please start from tomorrow. So you are supposed to, when you break the walnut, it's basically two halves, right? Like two hemispheres of the brain. So you're supposed to give one half of the walnut early morning. You can give it on empty stomach to the child, and then you can give, say, half a cup of on it, because milk is a very good medium in which the walnut is absorbed. If he doesn't like to drink milk on the walnut, you can give the plain walnut. It's very good, but preferably early morning. Make sure that it is eaten by slowly chewing properly and then eating, because children have this habit of, grossly biting stuff and then swallowing it up. So चावून चावून खा म्हणून सांगपा जाय भुरग्याक, कारण तातूंतले जे ऑयल्स आसा, the oils which are present in the walnut, they are very important, and they are absorbed only if the thing is chewed properly. The other option is you can make a powder of this half of that walnut, and then you can give it in milk if the child is not able to swallow.
Okay, I think that's about it. That's about all the questions we have, Doctor. If anybody else...
I hope that the answers are satisfactory. Thank you very much for having me again.
Yeah, anybody wants to say?
Yeah. May I ask final question?
Yes. Oh, most certainly, sir.
Hello. Now, in fact, COVID-19, the problem and solution, both are not available. How it is created, what is the solution? Right. Now, in the meantime, a lot of people are suggesting different ways, and in this connection, most of the suggestions are from Ayurvedic side.
Right.
Because allopathic medicines are, they only say, if you have fever, you take medicine of fever. If you have cold, you take medicine of cold. So like that, one by one, they are trying to, make us recover.
Correct.
But in Ayurveda, even if you take, it is not going to affect. There is no side effect. So, and most of the Ayurvedic medicines are useful in such circumstances. But still, government has not given green signal to Ayurvedic medicines. I don't know what is the reason. People also talk about it in a different way. But there is no harm in using Ayurvedic medicine, I feel. What is your opinion about it?
Yes, I will answer this with two things. First, in the capacity as the consultant for Ayush Cell, Directorate of Health Services. So the Ministry of Ayush has endorsed and presented an advisory. So for anybody who wants homeopathy medicines can take arsenic Al-30, 4 tablets early morning on empty stomach for 3 days only. And he has to repeat this every month for 3 months. That has been found to be preventive, they are saying. Yes. Secondly, in Ayurveda, they have said you can have Chavanprash. You can apply what is called Anu Tel, ANU, Anu Tel, in the nose every time you move out of the house. And they have also advised taking Saushamani Vati in the morning and 2 in the evening. So these medicines are available with Hindu pharmacy or any Ayurvedic pharmacy. They are quite useful. I would like to add, eat healthy, eat warm food, eat simple food. Be very conscious about going out in a milieu of people. Keep your distance. Secondly, Guduchi, which is called Giloy, from which Saushamani Vati is originally made. That is a very good drug. It's an antiviral, and for that viral flu, I should have mentioned actually, Guduchi is a very good drug that can be used. It comes in the form of Amritarisht also, which can be given to children as well as old-aged people who are very prone to infection. You can take it after meals. If it is given to small children, 5 ml with 5 ml of water. If it is given to elderly, 10 ml with 10 ml of water. If it is for an adult like you and me, it should be 15 to 20 ml based on the body. So Amritarisht can be taken because it ensures that your digestion is good, because Ayurveda believes that most viral fevers are actually because of indigestion. So keep your digestion as best as you can. Taking steam is useful. Drinking warm water is useful. Having lemons squeezed on your food, on salad, is very useful because it's a natural source of vitamin C. It builds up your immunity to cold. And avoiding eating bananas, having curd, or having buttermilk, which is sour foods, processed sour foods, that means bottled drinks. So these things can be avoided because they are a very potent source of infection in the present times. And avoid hot and cold mixtures at the same time. So playing in the hot sun, coming inside and having a sip of room temperature water, then going back in the hot sun will give infection. Or sitting in an AC, coming out and having a hot cup of tea and going back and sitting in the AC will give you a throat problem. So don't push the body in extremes. So this is some of the care that you can take. Applying oil in the nose, I'm a very big proponent of that. So yes, that. And yeah, wish you good health. Basically, it's all very much in your hand if you are willing to take care.
Doctor, when you say apply oil in the nose, is it okay if we just apply the Anu Tel on the lining of the nose, or do we actually have to put in the drops?
For adults, you should put the drops. For children, they get scared to put the drops. So 7 years and above, you can actually put the drops. But for a small child whom you are initiating, dip your little finger and apply it as deeply in his nose as possible.
Okay.
So initially, the child feels a little discomfort, but he gets used to it.
Thank you, doctor. I think we are running out of time now.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for sharing such valuable information with us. It was really kind of you to spend time to answer.
Thank you, doctor.
Each query so attentive. So much of attention to each query. That was so nice of you, doctor. And I'm sure it's helpful to all the parents as well as to us, as well as to me. Yeah.
Thank you so much to all of you, especially the parents, for listening to me.
Yeah. Thank you, Aditi.
Good. Thank you, ma'am. Bye.
Okay, bye.